All right, news unlocked. Several large topics to cover.
Yeah.
Yep.
Starting with Star Wars Battlefront.
Indeed.
This broke at Celebration.
Yes.
After we recorded, of course, last week, a day or two later. So, Mitch, you were
Yeah.
there. You saw it.
I did.
Give us the quick overview. Everybody probably knows by now, but Cliff's Notes version, and then there's some interesting talking points to go over here.
So this is not, I mean, when I went in, I expected to see a very, very Battlefield game, just very reskinned. But this is very much DICE saying, okay, we're making a Battlefront game. The stuff that you liked about the original Battlefront game, we're just going to do that.
Right.
So no space battles.
From original Xbox / PS2.
Yes. No space battles, no campaign. It's like, this is a multiplayer competitive game.
How many players?
40.
8 to 40? Is that it?
Yeah, it's depending on the mode. There's some
Okay.
different stuff that you can do. I mean, technically 2 to 40 because there's a co-op mode that you can play separate from the multiplayer stuff that serves as the campaign, sort of. It's the single-player mode that lets you complete challenges and specific missions.
Okay.
And they aren't talking about it because they need to figure out their messaging on how to talk about it as a campampaigned.
And I think it's split screen.
Yeah,
player
it's
on
split
this,
screen
right?
and online. They very much were like, listen,
40 players split screen. Everybody gets 6 pixels.
This is basically like them going, hey, the original Battlefront was the one people liked most. Battlefront 2, I know a lot of people liked it, but I always thought it had problems. I thought the space combat was bad. It's cool to fly around in space, but the missions are to capture control points, which
Rest
are
in
on
peace,
ships.
Pandemic Studios.
Yeah. So their ambitious thing was you would fly from Tatooine out into space and take down a ship, which is cool, but it divides the player base. And when you have 40 players, you don't want 10 people leaving the battlefield to go to space. So their focus is very much you are like on Endor and you can use a speeder bike to run around, and you can summon a Jedi or become Boba Fett or whatever. And then on other planets, it's other vehicles. So if you're on Tatooine, you're flying through the canyons in a TIE fighter and an X-Wing. But it's all in atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. You saw the behind closed doors demo.
7 minutes of gameplay.
Walk me through it real quick.
It's presented in a very scripted way. You know, like the Titanfall demo we saw that first came out, it was like...
So not scripted, but choreographed,
Yes.
right? Where everybody... It was a live playthrough. It's probably right, but
every player knew where to be.
Yeah, exactly. They had direction, like
Which is pretty much what an E3 demo is.
Yes, exactly.
But
that's what the Titanfall thing was.
The Titanfall demo, even though it was choreographed, was really honest to what that game was. That was very much stuff that could happen. They just wanted to show you cool stuff that could happen.
Do you feel like this was not honest?
This was honest. I feel like it could be. Like, obviously we haven't seen the game running, so I don't know, but it didn't seem disingenuous because it wasn't like crazy impossible things were happening. It was very much a player encounters 2 friends, they start rolling around together, they fight some stormtroopers, moment of calm, they get attacked by an AT-ST.
And this was the Endor Forest, right?
Yes. Like an AT-ST is roaming around, so they use a new ability item that lets them summon a bubble to protect. People are singing "Happy Birthday."
Yeah, that's weird.
Very strange. Like a protective bubble, like a ray shield to protect them. And there's a rocket launcher pickup that a guy uses to bust open the AT-ST. AT-AT walks up, very scary, very ominous because it's this gigantic AT-AT.
Yeah.
And it's you can't kill it with guns, so you need another solution. And you can activate this control panel that lets you radio in Y-wings, which drop bombs on it to take it out. And that's
awesome.
That's what that mode is. That's Walker Assault. And it is
cool.
There is a walker on a track, and you have probably a finite amount of time to stop it before it destroys whatever you.
The Empire's protecting it, and the rebels are.
Yeah, and it seems really. I would imagine it would change in the game, that it would be harder to outright destroy it. But for the sake of presentation, hey, maybe it's just one Y-wing assault with one activatable radio.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, these guys destroy the walker, and they continue fighting. So they have an advantage over the Empire in that the Empire doesn't have this gigantic walking tank.
And they didn't show. It was like all cinematic third person. Did they show any first person stuff?
So it starts out in the first person because they wanted to hey, this is the first person game. It's like the first person shooting is awesome. We have not aim down sights, but there are scopes. And they did this really awesome thing where after they showed aim down sights, scoping stuff, they pulled back and then popped out to the third person camera, and everyone went ballistic because everyone wanted that.
Right.
When we heard it was a first person game, it's like, that's not Battlefront. It was first person on PC, but come on, this is a third person game. But it looks awesome in both third and first person. And it seems tactically advantageous to use both. If you're behind cover, you might pop out to third person to get a better awareness of your surroundings and to see how protected you really are behind that log.
Now, we also saw there were DICE. I know they're super excited to finally show their game to the world, but I thought they were setting themselves up for possible disappointment when disappointed on behalf of for the fans when the day before a bunch of their team members were taking to Twitter saying, we're going to break the internet tomorrow. That's going to be like, so
all that stuff was super silly.
And did the game, now the trailer, the cinematic trailer they put out looked incredible. And I said, that's not real. They insist it's real. What did it look like?
It's close.
It's really pretty.
This is the
trailer. In-engine trailer.
Right?
And they have to say in-engine because it's literally not gameplay.
Right.
So if they say gameplay, then
the thing is,
they need UI and stuff
in-engine is not the same as the thing you play with your controller in your console.
Because yes, you're using the video game engine, but you're also just rendering a thing, and the rest of the world doesn't have to exist.
The entirety of the CPU and
Yeah.
GPU is rendering exactly what you're seeing, as opposed to the rest of the game existing.
The thing I thought that really looked the most technologically cool thing going on in that was the crazy lighting, this like sun filtering down through the tree
So
leaves.
that's 100% there.
Nice.
One of my favorite things is like you'll be running through the forest and the guy in front of you is just getting peppered by sunlight and leaves, and like as he's running through, it's all real time because it's an incredible game engine. But it does look very, very close to that trailer. It's pre-alpha. Maybe it will look that good on console. I saw it on PS4. That in-engine demo is 100% PC.
Oh yeah.
So it's very close. It's not like, and you look at that and you're like, how does it look that good? It kind of doesn't, but it also kind of really does.
On an Xbox, or a PS4.
Yeah.
But it's not like it looks bad. Like it looks slightly
Looks great.
worse than one of the most amazing trailers you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
So
Battlefront looks awesome.
It's out November 17th,
Yes.
which didn't surprise me because I figured, they're riding the marketing hype coattails of Episode 7.
Yep. Yeah.
I figured they would, probably push as close to Thanksgiving as they could.
And being
a little bit of distance from what we assume Call of Duty's release date.
So that's what's interesting. Yeah, this is a slight quick side note. Halo, and last week of October, Call of Duty, Black Ops 3 is going to be either the next week or maybe the week after, and then Battlefront the week after that. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So busy.
Yeah.
It's too much. But I hope that Battlefront's the one that I stick to. I mean, I grew up loving and being obsessed with that series, and now that it's back and it looks a lot like what I want, minus the Jedi bounty hunter stuff, like I never really liked Battlefront 2 for its bonus character stuff. Like, get a kill streak and play as Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Right.
No thanks.
So can I tell you why I'm a little worried about this game, and I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts. So 4 planets. Not maps, planets.
Yeah.
Which probably means 3 to 4 maps. So 12 to 16 maps in the game. Which is
good
okay.
guess.
But 4 planets.
And it's all original trilogy stuff. It's Hoth, Sullust, Tatooine, and Endor.
We have a TBD number of game modes. We don't know about that yet.
Yep.
We definitely know no single-player campaign, no space battles. Either dedicated, like, oh, this battle is all space, or the transition thing you were talking about for Battlefront 2. For me, I hope the gameplay is great. I think the gameplay is going to have to be great because it sounds like, for better and for worse, this could be another Titanfall situation where you have this incredible gameplay, but it's a skeleton. There's not much around it. I mean, we saw that with, I think Destiny kind of suffered from that a bit too, where clearly a lot had been cut out of Destiny.
Yeah.
And what they shipped was sort of skeleton-ish. And even, I got to go up and see Rainbow Six Vegas. That's
Siege.
Thank you.
I do it too. I just want another Vegas
out here.
Oh my God, I can't even type it right because apparently that's what my brain wants.
God, Rainbow Six Vegas is so good.
Siege is great, by the way.
Yeah.
But Siege is another one where the gameplay is super fun, but there's seemingly no single-player campaign.
Right. What is that package?
And how many modes? What's going to be in it? So I'm seeing a trend here, and I feel like the bar for the acceptable amount of content out of the box in a AAA shooter this generation has lowered a lot. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I get that games are super expensive to make now. Like it would cost, I mean, it's this
Battlefront's probably $50 to $80 million.
Oh, it's enormous even for what they're shipping, but at the same time it's like I think they do run a risk of, I think Titanfall is the perfect example of what we all thought was going to be a killer app, a huge game. I genuinely thought this has a shot to eventually, after a couple of years, sort of really take a big bite out of Call of Duty's player base.
And it was a great game.
And it is a great game. I feel like I gave it an 8.9, which I stand behind, because it's just such great gameplay, but there was just not enough around it, and that's it didn't have the long tail that I think they envisioned it would because of that. And that's where I worry about Battlefront.
Okay.
I mean, it's got the Star Wars thing going for it,
of
which
course.
Titanfall was a new IP, but
yeah, I mean, it's going to be different than like we're in Angel City, and you're like, what is that? As opposed to like we're Mos Eisley. Holy crap! I'm in X-wing.
I just worry that Battlefront could suffer from the same thing, where the game, if the gameplay suffers at all, and there's not a ton of content, that'll could really be bad.
Huge problem.
But even if the gameplay is amazing, is there going to be there to sustain this thing?
I see. This is a game that can be rife for DLC in the year or 2 years.
I would
after
expect
it
you will
so we
see a
know
lot.
that Jakku's coming. It's the first piece of DLC. It's coming alongside Force Awakens. That's the Desert
December.
Planet.
So it's December 8th, the Battle of Jakku, which is the planet in Episode 7 that we've seen. 2 maps on December 8th, or you get it, and it's all free, or December 1st if you pre-order the game.
Oh, that's cool. It's like, what if in February we get Cloud City? In, May we get Dagobah.
But at what cost, though? It's not all going to be free, is it?
No way. I would expect they will
Pass.
do a season pass style thing for sure.
So
I don't know how that'll look. I don't like you're saying like Bespin has like 1, maybe 2 locations you could find in that are interesting, but
I mean, Finnegan, you're a guy who's played Counter-Strike for over a decade, and that's a game
15
that
years.
has
longer.
That's actually the sort of prototype model for all these shooters now, where Counter-Strike has just been one thing, it's sort of, you could look at that and say, well, there's not a ton of content there, but yet somehow Counter-Strike has endured and thrived for many, many years.
Counter-Strike is kind of an anomaly in that situation, but even Counter-Strike has had to evolve, right? Like back in the day when I started playing it in 1998, it was, 5 or 6 maps, and it's since expanded to like 30 maps, even though in competitive it is still Dust 2, Inferno, Train, Nuke, Aztec. But now with its resurgence in 2014 and even 2013 before that, you've seen skins and a lot more community-oriented features. Like there's now a bunch of new modes like Gun Game and Arms Race and Deathmatch. So it's evolved.
Right.
There's more content there now that appeals to both that super hardcore player base that loves it for the gameplay and only wants to play competitive, but also wants to do, not have to really, really pay attention, just play with their friends and kind of like drink beers or whatever, do that at the same time. So even that game has evolved, and I feel like I'm kind of bummed out to already know about DLC for Battlefront, like before the game, we're months out from the release. I hate knowing that.
And I'm bummed out. I mean, I'm very much looking forward to playing this game, but the fact that I'm going to have to go online and have to, either jump in with a bunch of randoms or try and round up a group of friends, I'm bummed at no campaign.
Me too.
So
also, just like Star Wars is such an awesome universe with really cool characters, it seems like one of the really, like a selling point for me as someone who already has like a really dedicated multiplayer game to play.
So my thing is like, what was the last
campaign is what I want.
First-person shooter that you played that had like a really incredible story? Might have been Wolfenstein, right?
Wolfenstein definitely counts.
Halo 4.
That's Halo 4.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Call of Duties have had fun campaigns.
Yeah.
None of them have had great stories.
Advanced
multiplayer
Warfare was good. Yeah.
BioShock Infinite.
So
that didn't have multiplier. That was
right,
and that's my thing. Is like the perception right now is that Battlefront is multiplayer only, and it has no campaign, it has no space battles. The internet is like freaking out, and I understand it because to some degree the perception of what a $60 product is worth does come down to the number of features it has, and Battlefront is missing a lot of stuff that people expect from your average DICE game. Like a Battlefield game comes out and it's got a story and it's got multiplayer, but this is a studio that has maybe once made a great campaign. Every other single player campaign outside Bad Company 2 has been awful, and people don't play them. So DICE is focusing down.
Well, they don't play them because they're bad.
Sure. So why do you want
Halo campaigns are great?
A bad
people
DICE
buy
Star
Halo
Wars campaign? Because I don't.
I want a good one. I mean, they're talented people.
DICE has proven
hire talented people.
DICE has proven they can't do it.
They made Mirror's Edge. Yeah, that's exactly what I was
like. Mirror's Edge is awesome.
Mirror's Edge is an awesome game. Story's dumb. The story is like so simple.
It's enough.
Yeah,
I agree.
Like,
but if it's Star Wars, you don't want just good enough.
Well, we don't want them to do just good enough.
Exactly.
But if you're talking about a story being dumb, the story of Star Wars is kind of dumb.
That's true.
Like, it's super entertaining and I love it, but it's kind of dumb.
Anyway, my point is, if you look at a game like Wolfenstein or BioShock Infinite, these are incredible stories. You get 12 hours of gameplay out of it. It's awesome, and there's no multiplayer, and you move on. and that's enough. For me, as someone who plays a lot of multiplayer game, I appreciate a game that can focus down and have really great gameplay and hook me. Yeah. So if Battlefront can be the kind of game that is $60 and has interesting co-op multiplayer stuff in place of a campaign, even if I never play that, if I play 12 maps and I love the gameplay enough to play every night with my friends and I play for a month and I never play it again, that's totally worth it to me.
And I understand
but it's not to publishers, though. Publishers need you playing for months and
that's
months
where
at
DLC
a time
comes in.
So that they can sell you. Yeah.
Happy December. Here's your Battle of Jakku. Happy January. It's time for Dagobah.
And my point is, do you end up paying $90 for what you might have reasonably expected there to be in your initial $60 purchase?
Yeah, but I mean,
it just seems like a real missed opportunity. Like, look at what Blizzard did with StarCraft and Warcraft. Like, those are multiplayer games. Like, people play them for the multiplayer, but they have these awesome 10 or 12 hour, such awesome stuff. As someone who plays a primarily multiplayer game, I mean, not primarily, it is a multiplayer game. Dota. Wouldn't it seem like added value to you if there was this killer awesome story component to that game?
Sure, but that game is a multiplayer game, and if that story element came, you bet your ass it'd be paid.
What if? Remember,
and I would pay for it.
Remember back to when Titanfall 2 was officially announced at the BAFTAs when Vince got up and we all said, we did a segment. What do we want out of Titanfall 2? We literally all said the same thing. A campaign that, because those guys have made. That team has made great campaigns before with Modern Warfare 1 and going back farther than that, that can really highlight those amazing mechanics in a cool, story-driven, single-player campaign way. I want that from a Battlefront. All these cool things that you're talking about from that 7-minute demo you saw, I want to be able to experience that in a way that intelligent, professional game designers have made for me, and not have to. I mean, there's certainly a place for the camaraderie of my friends and these organic, emergent multiplayer moments happening, but I mean, I feel like it's not wrong for me to want and expect both.
So yeah, I think it's totally reasonable to want that, but for me, like, my perception of this is they keep using this marketing phrase, battle fantasies.
That's dumb. Don't do that.
It's super dumb. But like the desire to take down an AT-AT, or the desire to go like head to head with Darth Vader. That kind of stuff is really interesting, and that's kind of the stuff that you would generally want in a campaign. You would want to be on Hoth, and you'd want to take down a AT-AT, and you get that in multiplayer, and I don't necessarily want that in a scripted, structured way when crazy stuff can happen. Like, oh man, Marty and I were both coming in for the approach, and he got shot down, and he was going to get killed, so like, I know he's a better pilot than me, so I gave it to him my ship, and I jumped out and started fighting all the stormtroopers on the ground. Like, that kind of dynamic stuff is really awesome.
That's how you get your battle fantasy. Your fantasy.
That's my battle fantasy.
We're lucky it's not a fantasy.
If we were being super cynical, which I try not to be, but you could possibly make the argument that, well, this game clearly has to ship in November to make it out along with the movie. If they weren't having to tie themselves to the movie, maybe this is a spring or summer 2016 game, and it's got a fleshed out campaign.
I honestly don't think that it's hamstrung by that. I think, yes, that was a goal, and I think DICE budgeted its time for that, as opposed to like half-assing it and shipping what they have.
Right.
Because what's there, and like when I talk to those guys about what they want to do, they very clearly understand what this game should be. Like, they want it to be like Star Wars Battlefront 1, where it is really awesome combat in places with iconic vehicles, and that's it. And they're saying, all right, we want to do the original trilogy. What are the 4 iconic locations we could do? Well, here's 3 that you know, and 1 that we're going to invent, or bring to life, because Sullust, it was like where the Death Star 2 was being built, but you never got to see the planet. So you have those 4 planets, you have the things that you want to see, and DICE is going, okay, how can we make Tatooine, however many maps on Tatooine, as good as possible? How can we make Hoth interesting again, because you've seen it a million times? And they're not going like, well, we need more content, so let's knock out a Naboo map.
Yeah, I mean, and that's all well and good, and I think that I do hope, and I think that the gameplay will be stellar. I think Ryan's point, and I think he's right, is just like, we live in a landscape where that may not necessarily be enough anymore.
Yeah.
There's a ton of great games that have really stellar gameplay out there that it may be one of those cases where you need to bring in players with a campaign.
So I almost wonder if like the backlash for this is so strong. Do you guys think DICE will add a campaign?
No, it's far too late. That's impossible.
You don't think even with DLC? You don't think maybe they'll repurpose the best in DLC to be
you actually started to almost make my point for me when you said they want it to be like Battlefront 1, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. Is you look at, I feel like the first iterations of big new AAA shooters this generation are these skeletons that, okay, let's nail the gameplay, we'll sell them on the gameplay, and then we'll put some skin and muscle on the bones with the sequel.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's what we're going to see with Titanfall 2, that's what we're going to see with Destiny 2, and I think that's what we're going to see with Battlefront 2 in 3 to 4 years.
I'm going to go on record and say that we will not see a Star Wars Battlefront 2 from DICE.
Oh, I smell an In-N-Out bet coming.
No,
I smell it.
It's been a while.
It smells like grilled onions.
So I'm of two minds about this. One is that Star Wars Battlefront 2 would be like, okay, we're gonna go do the prequels. We're gonna do space battles. We're gonna do what Star Wars Battlefront 2 did. I don't think that's what DICE cares about.
Do you want to bet?
I do.
I believe that Star Wars and Star Wars Battlefront is so big that. And is going to this game's going to be huge, and then having a heavily marketed major event Battlefront 2 sequel in 2 to 3 years from now that has a single player campaign and has tons of new maps, modes, and space battles. I think that's a separate Battlefront 2 that they sell.
You know what I almost like, I think as I think about what the Battlefront platform could be, you have this opportunity for it to be like multiplayer expansion packs and different maps and all this stuff.
Right.
But then you think, okay, well, 3 years from now, like Episode 8 will be out, Rogue One will be out, the other spin-off movie will probably be out. They could do a sequel and just do the same thing with all that stuff and maybe a space battle or two, but I really think we'll start seeing more stuff like the Wolfenstein expansion, which is a standalone thing for a little bit less money. Like if they do a Rogue One thing for $40, how crazy would that sell? Whether it's a campaign, like maybe it's a Rogue One campaign where you steal the Death Star plans.
All right. Are we betting In-N-Out lunch? I say there will be a product that's Star Wars that's called Star Wars Battlefront 2. Do you think that will not be happening?
I do not think Star Wars Battlefront 2 will happen.
The bet is on.
Smoke comes from
There's no timeline on this. You said 2 to 3 years, but it seemed like right then there was any time.
Whatever.
Yeah.
When it happens, I guess I have to be like,
40 years
hey.
from now when there's Battlefront 2.
Yeah, I was about to say, there's no way you're ever getting a lunch. Because Ryan could just be like, it's still coming.
Yeah.
Ryan, the sun is melting the earth.
You gotta put a time limit on it.
All right, this generation.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
This generation, there will be a Battlefront.
Which will probably be about the time EA's Star Wars deal expires.
That's true. And then the other last point I wanted to make on this is it almost feels like Halo and Call of Duty are almost the exceptions rather than the rule now.
Yeah.
With these full major league, I mean less so with Call of Duty, but a full designed single-player campaign and a full online multiplayer suite.
Battlefield as well.
And usually a co-op as well.
And those guys, like, that's their bread and butter, and that's why they have that fan base. Like, people, even though people don't really play the Battlefield campaign, and I'm going to wager, like, more people than we think play them, but still, that is core to what that package is, and people expect it.
Right.
So even if they don't play the campaign, if Battlefield didn't have it, they'd be like, what?
Well, that's the thing. I hear the argument enough that, I only play Call of Duty multiplayer. And then there are those guys like me and Brian Altano that I only play it for the campaign.
Me too.
Clearly, there are enough people playing the Call of Duty campaigns every year because if they continue to make them.
Yes.
Otherwise, they'd be like, oh well, here's the new Call of Duty, and it's just all multiplayer things.
Also, the campaign is how they promote those games
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah,
like
right.
that is
They promote Kevin Spacey. They don't
Yes,
promote
true.
multiplayer.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like the draw for those games, not just from a marketing perspective, but also from like an engagement perspective. With Call of Duty and with Halo, like what got me and what I would wager most people into that game is the awesome story. Like it allows game designers when you have a scripted element to do bigger and more awesome things.
And I guess this doesn't apply so much in the Star Wars with Battlefront because the Star Wars universe is so established and
you have those scripted scenes that you can show that look really cool.
That's actually, for me, I mean, Halo having this great backstory with Master Chief and all the things, the Covenant in the universe, that provides a context to get me to care about what's going on in multiplayer. Whereas with Destiny, the story was so un-Bungie-like in a bad way that I couldn't. The fact that there was no story, I couldn't really care about what was going on in the universe. But Battlefront doesn't need a campaign in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, if you
establish that,
if you want an original trilogy-themed story from Star Wars Battlefront, you got 3 movies waiting for you.
Yeah. All right, so we've made a bet. We've talked for
a long time,
25 minutes about this, but
knock that out into 2 videos.
I think this has a shot. Well, no. Call of Duty is on last-gen consoles too, so
is it really?
It still is every year, right? Modern Warfare was on 360 and PS3.
Advanced Warfare?
Advanced Warfare.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Because what I was going to say was I think Battlefront has a reasonable chance of actually being the best-selling game this year and outselling Call of Duty. But if it's only on modern platforms, if Call of Duty also ships on the old stuff, then
the end of the year sales are going to be really interesting when Call of Duty and Battlefront are at the top of the list, and they're both selling better on PlayStation.
Well, there's so many more installed base there.
Yep.
That's what are you going to do? But